There it is. Okay, we got the thumbnail out of the way.
That's the intro.
That's the intro thumbnail.
You know that you switched the sides that we're on?
Did I really?
I don't think I'm usually on this side, am I? Oh, maybe I am. I
Oh,
don't know.
it's because the image is mirrored,
Oh,
so that you can read my Patriots logo properly.
nice.
But in real life, we're actually switched. How are you doing today? You're looking smoking hot.
Thank you. Because it's after yesterday's episode to do with the solar plexus, and you dropped the wiener bomb in the middle of that. I'm like, you know what? Today we're going to talk about the wiener chakra.
Oh, so we're indulging in my wiener bomb.
We're indulging in the wiener bomb. Because I was thinking about it like all morning. I'm like, what a ridiculous thing to say. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I know that there are thousands of chakras in the human body, but we only talk about the seven,
Okay.
the familiar seven. So, and I'm like, who's to say there isn't a wiener chakra? And I want to unpack that.
I'm so grateful that you're coming at this from a positive angle and realizing that men are special.
I don't think a woman would ever come up with a wiener chakra, but I feel like the sacral chakra kind of covers the genital area. It does, actually. I'm not just saying it. It
Okay.
does. It governs that.
But it's a funny way to put it. In my ignorance, I dropped a little joke by accident.
I feel like it becomes more specific and definitely deals with more man issues. Like, I would really like to unpack the wiener chakra.
Well, let's unpack it. I have not planned anything, so this is very
I mean, I haven't planned a whole lot either, but there are a couple of things I want to bring up. Starting with, men often say that wieners have a mind of their own. So unpack that for me.
well, that's how we started on this whole thing. Like your brain, your heart, your crotch leads the way in a lot of decision making, especially when you're younger and you are what's the word? You're just dumb. You're young and dumb.
Explain to me the power of the penis. I mean, you're giving it its own mind. You're giving it all of this focus and saying that you can't think properly or make decisions or, so what is it?
I just can't believe that all of mankind is resting on my
It is.
answer.
I want to know.
What an honor. What an honor. Do you ever Emma, stop being
Our
weird.
children are looking at us. It's unfortunate they're here for this conversation.
Did you ever see one of those things? I forget what they're called, but it's like a water stick. Lead you to water.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah, like not a weather vane, but
No. It's not a scrying thing. What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, it's right there. Divination?
No.
That's not it. Then I have no idea.
Anyway, there's the guy with the two wires, and then he walks, and then as soon as they cross, that's where you got to dig the well. Anyway, a wiener is very similar to that. It will lead you to the well.
Oh my God. That's actually like a really good, what is that? It's a metaphor? That's really good.
Thank you. And that's just on the fly. I just made that up.
That's so amazing.
The women's well.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, no, go back to that.
Okay.
2 rods that bring you to the well.
Yes, and then they cross. Yeah. Have you never seen that?
No, I guess I haven't.
It's pretty cool. We'll do an experiment
I'm gonna
later.
have to.
couple of coat hangers, and you walk, and then they cross, and yeah. I guess all jokes aside, I don't know. Part of me thinks that this younger generation, they're so addicted to their electronics and instant gratification that they actually don't listen to themselves at all. Like if they didn't have phones and the internet and 24/7 access to pornography or whatever, they would be listening to their instincts, and their instincts are telling them to go and find a mate.
Well.
Go and find a mate. No, seriously.
Okay, wait, but you're saying that it disrupts communication with your brain, it disrupts communication with your heart, and all of a sudden you're communicating with a different entity completely. So half of us don't have this magical wand. So explain to me what that feels like. What does it feel like to be completely led by the wiener chakra?
Oh, it's kind of crazy. The best way to describe it is like the time that Bear saw chickens and his eyes glazed over and he went into hunting mode and he was throwing chickens around, and when I finally caught him and like snapped him out of it, he, his eyes unglazed and he's like, "Papa, what have I done?" That's kind of what it is. It's like you become this other animal and nature just takes over. That's the best way I can explain it.
Okay, so
We did that episode on lust,
right.
and this feeds into that.
So, but technically, that it's very aligned to a natural, God-given thing, right?
I would say this is not a soul thing or a mind thing. This is pure animal body thing.
Okay,
It's
and
got its
yet
own mind.
we're giving it its own chakra. So, I mean, a chakra, when you break it down and define it, is a wheel. The Sanskrit word it means wheel or disc, and
Okay.
it's spinning. So it's an energy center in your body that's spinning, that's meant to kind of govern the balance of mind, body, spirit.
Okay.
So we've placed this chakra over the wiener, as you so lovingly call it. And we can imagine that it's this energy portal.
And you know what the thing is, and I'm going to air this out here on behalf of all guys, is women have no clue. They have absolutely no clue what we go through. Like, it actually becomes physically painful when we don't get what we want. And I don't think that happens for you. I don't think that you actually have, I think that, yeah.
It's not physical pain for me.
Women are sex camels, and we need to, I don't know what the word is, but when we're hunting, we need to catch something and we need to eat.
So we're basically just banking orgasms in our hump.
2 humps. You have 2 humps.
Oh boy.
We should make an episode on the bosoms.
Okay, so back to the wiener chakra.
This is going to turn into the weirdest Sunday night sex show podcast ever, but we are hilarious.
Well, I mean, you bring up a valid point that women don't understand what men go through in terms of things that are directly related to
Yes, you don't understand why I'm grouchy.
your magic rod. Is the word rod a part of that instrument you were? Geez, it's so terrible that we don't know what that thing is.
Leave it in the comments.
In any case, what happens? So a chakra center, when it becomes imbalanced, there are things that, okay, so there are physical things, spiritual things, body things that throw off the balance of a chakra.
Sure, yeah.
And there are things, so going with the whole wiener chakra, there are things that are going to throw that off.
Right. So this is more of a physical thing. Whereas, like yesterday, we were talking about the gut. The gut is also a physical thing more than anything, right?
Right?
And then as we go up the chain, it becomes more mental and spiritual.
Yes,
And less
because
physical?
your bottom chakras are ruled by elements.
Are they?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So which elements are running what here on the bottom?
Oh, good. Now I'm gonna have to try to remember. So your root chakra, I would assume, is ruled by earth. The sacral chakra is water.
We're talking about elements. Like fire, water.
I'm sure I said elements. Your
Okay.
your solar plexus is fire.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm scared that I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm going to stop. But I know that the higher up you get, it changes to one of your. I'm just going to stop because I'm totally going to butcher it.
Why? You keep going. You're playing it by ear.
It was funny because the higher up it went, we started to move into the ether. It's ruled by ether or spirit, and then one more up is ruled by thoughts, and then one more up is ruled by consciousness, divine consciousness. So we start to leave behind the physical elements.
Did you know that ether was removed from the periodic table of elements?
I did not.
Google that, people.
Why is that important?
Because it's part of the throat chakra. Ether.
Okay, so the root is earth. I was right.
Sacral is water, and then solar plexus is fire.
Right, and heart is air. So after that, after we leave the heart chakra, it changes going up. Right then we're into the ether and the light and the conscious.
Hmm.
So
I love that. That's awesome.
right? Isn't that great?
I think that is totally great. I think that that's perfect.
But you were talking about how the gut, for example, is a physical thing, but I would argue that the wiener chakra will also have physical and spiritual and mind things associated with it, because we know that when the wiener chakra is affected physically, it fails to perform,
Okay.
right?
That's sad.
Whatever. You know what? Nobody talks about this. I mean, there are some people, but most people don't. I don't know why men don't talk about it, because it affects us too. And I think that it is a conversation that you need to have with your partner when it does happen, because all of a sudden you're not dealing with just yourself and this self-imposed shame. You're dealing with frustration and anger from your partner. And then it becomes a giant mess.
Well, it's so funny because we talk about it having a mind of its own, and when you're younger, you have absolutely like no control.
It just is up at attention all the time.
Just always there. You're always putting a binder in front of it and walking around in school.
Okay, but your chakras are probably pretty aligned in your younger years, so that would make sense. We're talking about now, 40 and above, and this chakra is imbalanced, and now we're dealing with erectile dysfunction on a not regular basis, but it does present itself, right?
Well, and we're talking about, well, yeah, it's everything, right? We get older, we get tired, we have
Okay, so that's a physical thing.
blood pressure issues, you have all these things on your mind. It's so much nicer to be young.
And how much does the mental aspect play in that? Because I'm trying to connect mind, body, spirit. Now, your mind certainly becomes involved at some point and then starts playing games with you.
Yeah, it's weird because, like I said, when you're a lot younger, man, if I can go in a time machine and just try and
Savor each boner.
just try and figure it out, because honestly, it's like half the time you don't even know why, but it's just time, right? And now, yeah, it's interesting.
So, but you're agreeing with me that mind plays a role in the imbalance of that chakra.
I would say the mind. Well, yeah, the mind is very important, and your body is very important too, like your body's actual health.
And now I'm going to try and connect spirit, because the genital area, which is ruled by the sacral chakra, is really a portal to creation, right? I mean, technically, your genitals are there to create life.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take that further, because I've had dreams about that space actually being portal space. And I was shown some crazy things to do with the genitals. I was like, oh my God, like there is creation power here. I think that you can actually use the act of sex to create things in your life.
You're talking about your dreams?
Not
This
just
was in your
babies.
dream?
And yes, that was in my dreams. I worked a lot in my dreams.
Oh, interesting.
But I think that there's a sacredness to the act of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're disconnected in some way from spirit, I think that's also going to throw an imbalance into that chakra.
I think so many of us forget too that it is a sacred thing. It's totally an energy thing. And that
it's totally an energy thing, which makes sense then to call it a chakra.
Right. And men don't realize when they're being with different women that energy exchange can be very negative on their spirit, I guess.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Especially with the wrong woman.
For sure.
And I guess explain to me the woman aspect of it. If a woman was going to have different partners, wouldn't it be bad for them? Like not vetting energies properly?
For sure, because we are in a position of receiving. Whereas the male is giving energy, we're receiving that energy. And I think that there is a certain way that it alchemizes within our own energy centers, mm-hmm. and allows us to be creative in all aspects of life, not just creating life.
I think people should be way more careful with who they're with.
Well, for many reasons.
Yeah,
but
not
energetically,
just
yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about energetic reasons, and I think that's why there's so much chaos in the world too right now, because it's the whole union and the whole marriage thing has been so kind of sloughed off, and it's about just hooking up on whatever not Twitter. What's the thing called where you're swiping?
Tumblr.
See, that's how much we use dating apps.
I have no idea.
But one of those things. And yeah, it's crazy that you are just going to go meet somebody and perform the most sacred act that two people can do, which is meant to create life, to have children, and you're just gonna do that with anybody for fun. Ooh, it's kind of bad. I know it's easy for me to say it now that I'm older, but because when we're younger, it's we don't think like that at all. That this is where the wisdom is coming in of you need to be careful of who you're with.
For sure.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I can't even imagine being with anyone else.
That's how awesome I am.
And that's how long we've been together.
Yes.
Okay, so talk to me about the Viagra craze. Because now we're bringing big pharma into a chakra center that is attached to mental, physical, spiritual.
Right. Well, I don't know because I don't use that stuff, but and I'm not knocking anybody that does,
No,
but
but I mean, if the option is there for a quick fix,
right.
so that you don't have to do the work of mental, spiritual, physical, right?
Well, and I think that that's is it a cop out? I don't know because if something's physically wrong with you and you're masking it with a pill, you're not actually solving any problems.
You're not solving the problem. You're not getting to the root of the problem.
So I don't know what that causes, whether it is you being 70 years old and you're just not you don't have enough testosterone or you don't or we just get old and we just don't need it as much as because when we're in our prime as a physical act, it's our duty to reproduce.
Okay, so I think that that's really connected to the physical, the creation in terms of making a baby, right?
Right.
But they can't be all that. And we're bringing it forward that it's not just for that. It's an energetic portal to creation for all aspects of your life.
Like anything, it can be abused. Like if you were just taking it every day so you can go have sex with a bunch of different people all the time, whatever. Or if you are desperate to be intimate with your partner and it is the only way that you can really, really connect and it's extremely important to you, why wouldn't you use that?
I will tell you why, because I feel like your partner would know. And on some level, pick up on the fact that this has been a quick fix and didn't actually get to the reason why. Like for me, I would really want you to do the work and figure out where the block is. Because when you're imbalanced, there's a block somewhere. And it feels like if you are not able to get an erection, it makes sense that there's a physical block, but there's probably a corresponding energetic block as well. And mental block.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like well, my doctor told me I gotta lose 20 pounds. I don't see it. I gotta lose 20 pounds. I have to lower my blood pressure a bit because it's a little bit elevated. And I have to take vitamins, which drives me crazy because I just want to eat the right foods and I don't have to take a bunch of vitamins. And I'm happy to say that I don't take prescription medicine for anything. So I'm lucky that way, or I've done enough stuff throughout my life that I haven't needed it to this point. But it's so crazy that once you start that roller coaster of prescription drugs, then you have side effects and then you need drugs to counter the side effects of the other drugs. And then it's a slippery slope going that way.
Right. And I really do think that choosing Viagra would be out of desperation on both of our parts. It would be something that we would both talk about and say, you know what, I can't stand this frustration anymore. Just go take the pill.
My naturopath was talking to me about testosterone and how it naturally starts to get lower as you get like to my age. So I'm like, okay, so what do I do? And he's like, okay, well, you can take these like, I think there are TRT injections or something like that. I don't know how often you have to do it, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have pills or injections every day. So he's like, oh, so I said, what do you recommend? And he's like, lifting heavy weights, especially for your legs. He's like, if you can increase the strength of your legs, that naturally produces more testosterone.
Why is that?
I don't know, but I believe him.
So would you put that out as a challenge to anybody experiencing ED, that they work out their legs and see if that makes a difference?
No, I would say that every single man in his 40s and 50s needs to do leg exercises to help increase their testosterone because it's naturally going down no matter what.
I think that you and I both are in the same camp of I want to let my body do what it's naturally supposed to do with as little outside interference as possible. I feel like we have the pharmacy within us that's going to take care of all of our needs. And I feel like ED is like one of those things that why can't we figure it out? You know, like if the testosterone is dropping, how do we, and if weights is going to do that, fine. But I think that there must be other things too.
I've said that about lots of different things. It's like sciatica. Why is there no quick fix for sciatica? Is that something that you struggled with? Like with all the knowledge that we have now in 2024, we should be able to uh, know more about these things.
So sciatica for me showed its ugly head when I was in the worst and lowest point of my life. And that happened to be 2 years before we left Manitoba. And I was on the wait list to get the cortisone injection. And I was only even put on that list because we had a connection in the health industry in Winnipeg. And when I finally did get that cortisone shot, now before the cortisone shot, I did acupuncture and physio and massage therapy and you name it, I tried it because sciatica will keep you from sleeping. It keeps you from eating. Like you are just really a slave to the pain and cannot enjoy life in any capacity. I mean, our kids were very little, they were tiny, and I would take them to the beach and I couldn't even sit still for a minute. And I would have to shift and get up and move around and I couldn't interact with them. That was a really big deal. And then I got the cortisone shot, and after 2 years of suffering, and then that seemed to be a band-aid and a quick fix. And all of a sudden I was able to think clear enough to know that you and I had to sell our shit, pack our bags, and leave Manitoba. So I feel that your body is working with spirit to try and align yourself as close as possible to your soul's purpose. And there are moments when these situations come up and you can't ignore it anymore. And then you have to make that choice, you know? And I feel like erectile dysfunction is one of those things that's akin to sciatica, where it becomes so frustrating and so it's such a mind fuck, you know, that you can't ignore it anymore and you have to do something. And at that point you decide either you're going to be doing Western medicine, or you're going to try other things to figure it out. I'm sorry, that was long-winded.
That was long-winded, but it's just funny that, you know, as we get older and the kids start to leave and you're starting to get your time back and your energy back, it's like you still have all these things that you have to do. You have to eat well, you have to exercise. So many of us have these jobs where we're sitting at the desk and it's just so easy to put on weight, especially when you get older. And like me, doctor said I got to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I honestly don't. Like, you cook really well for me. I exercise regularly. I don't know how I'm cutting 20 pounds. I really don't.
You have to take what the Western doctor says with a grain of salt. This was the same woman who told me that I need to drink water and it'll heal all my gut issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, all they want to do is push pills, right? So they make money off that stuff. And Viagra is no different. I don't know how much it costs, but I know it's expensive. And I know that one of the old companies I worked for, I think it was like 60 or 70% of the prescriptions for the entire company was that.
No way.
It was something insane. It might have been 80%. It was something so crazy.
Because people are doing mind-numbing work.
I don't know if it's a recreational thing now. I'm the worst person to ask, because we need like somebody who's brave enough to admit that they're taking it.
Viagra.
Like, even if you're in your 20s or 30s and you're using it for like casual reasons, like marijuana, that would be interesting. I just don't take pills.
We should be very clear that we're not shaming people who choose big pharma and Western medicine, because we understand there's a time and place for those things. But for now, you and I are going as long as possible without that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, I've never been this old before, so I'm learning it on the fly.
Okay, so back to the natural rhythms of life. I'm trying to figure out why naturally that area would start to present issues. Just because we're done with the baby making stage, there's still so much to be done creatively with the rest of our lives.
So Greg at yoga said something weird, and I was just like, what? He said something about prostates.
Possibly, yeah.
About how almost every man, or it was like a high percentage of men, are going to have issues with their prostates. And for me, I mean, I haven't had that yet, but I'm like, oh man, is he planting this weird mind seed in me that, oh, now I have to worry about these and we were watching the Kaminsky method, and he's dealing with this swollen prostate, and you know, you've had some family members who had prostate surgeries and prostate cancer, and It's like, why? Why is that? Why does that have to affect every man? That doesn't make sense to me.
Did it always affect every man, or is it because of the foods we're eating and the toxins and our toothpaste and whatever
That was the
else?
first thing I thought of. It's like back in the old days, 800 years ago, 1,000 years ago, was everybody complaining about prostates? Even 100 years ago, I don't think they were doing motorcycle and Movember things for prostates.
I'm wondering if, play with me here a little bit.
Okay.
I'm wondering if in caveman times, if, what?
There was no
Okay,
caveman.
but I asked you to play with me here.
Okay.
So let's imagine that we're back, way back when.
Can't we be in Egypt with the
Okay,
Egyptians,
fine.
with
We're
Cleopatra?
in Egypt with the Egyptians, although I feel like they had advanced technologies. So I'm trying to say primitive man,
Okay.
okay? People who didn't have access to technologies and medicines and apart from plant medicine, okay? So there's a caveman,
Okay.
hunky caveman, who happens to be a lucky person and live to 40 years old. I know maybe their life expectancy wasn't the same as ours, and the function of his penis is diminishing. Or is it? Maybe it's not, because caveman has to outrun Sabretooth. So his legs are probably pretty damn strong, and he doesn't need to go and pick up weights and get his testosterone. Maybe his testosterone is always up.
Is a 40-year-old caveman the same as a 90-year-old man now?
Well, I'm not talking, you're not 90. I'm trying to compare you to,
Oh,
you know,
an end-of-life caveman.
because if you think about, okay, take an organization and they're doling out insurance for Viagra because these people are just sitting still and they're not moving and they don't have the muscles anymore because how many people prioritize going to the gym?
Right.
Whereas caveman is constantly running on the move, hunting, like he's doing man things. So the less man things you do, the more you're dealing with erectile dysfunction. The more man things you do, the less you're dealing with erectile dysfunction. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
I think that there's so many times where when that does present itself in our relationship, it's because you're feeling demasculated somewhere, whether it's in your job or I'm doing it or, it's circumstantial. I don't think it is all to do with you being 20 pounds overweight, which I don't agree with, and your blood pressure being out of control.
So it's a trinity thing?
What does that mean?
Mind, body, and spirit?
Well, yes, but I think that in a world where they are trying to take down what a man is actually supposed to be, like these beta men, you would think that they would be flaccid all the time. Seriously, because they're doing the least manly things. The more manly you are, the more you're out there doing your soul's purpose, protecting and hunting and gathering, right? Like,
You mean I shouldn't be putting up my man bun and drinking a
God.
soy latte?
I would have to leave you if you had a man bun. But you know what I'm saying?
Me and Justin Trudeau.
Are you acknowledging it at all? That
Yes,
there's
yes.
something here that the more of a natural man you are, without the interference of government policies and woke ideas and whatever else,
Well,
the healthier of a man you are.
I think that so much of what's been going on in the last 5 to 10 years has been on purpose to demasculate men.
So would erectile dysfunction be going up then? With this whole demasculating?
I don't know. Like I said, half these kids nowadays, they just would rather just watch their computers than go out and be with somebody. So I don't know. I don't know.
Although you are the opposite of a beta. The kids hate it when I call you an alpha. It just creeps them out.
See, and I don't think I'm an alpha. I would never be the guy on a stranded island that takes immediate charge. I would be the project manager. I would be the guy that makes sure that the tribe all gets along.
Do you know why that is?
Tell me why.
I'm going to tell you why. It's because you have a very solid and beautiful co-creativeness to your masculine and feminine energies in your body. You really do. And I think that
I'm perfectly balanced.
That's part of the imbalances that happen in your chakras is when your masculine and feminine energies are not coming together to create a whole. There is no, as Tom Cruise would say, you complete me bullshit. That doesn't exist. You can't be completed by another person because you have everything you need to be complete already. The person can compliment you and support you and walk alongside of you, but it's your job to come into a relationship whole already.
That's a good point. I forget the interview, but we saw something so profound that it's not your job to make me happy.
Right.
It's my job to be happy. It's my job to make myself happy. It's not your job to make me happy.
And while you have things that complement my gifts and I have things that complement your gifts, separately, we're already whole. And well, on a mission to always find completeness within ourselves, right?
Yeah. It's, man, we went all over the place with that. But I think
But not. I think we're still very much in the vein of the Wiener chakra.
it's, yeah, man, I wish that we should get a doctor. We should get a naturopath on here to
Ooh,
talk
not a
about.
doctor, but a naturopath maybe. Or, you know what I've been looking into a lot lately is vibrational medicine. It would be great to get somebody in who understands the chakras really well and talk about even the Wiener chakra, although I'm pretty sure that might get lumped in with the sacral.
I would like to know why my blood pressure is elevated. And I don't take like so many cop outs. It's like, oh, genetics, you get it from your parents. It's like, no, like, come on. Certain things we get from our parents, but just because my dad had high blood pressure doesn't mean that I have to have high blood
I would
pressure.
100% agree with that.
I try to limit the amount of stress or the way I interact with the world. I try and not stress. And you've seen me be much better and much more patient.
Yeah,
I think that I've been doing a really good job over the last few years of really dealing with that in a better way. Like understanding the fact that I need to pay attention to when I'm getting frustrated and why things are frustrating me so much.
for sure. And I promise you that the scroll of your phone is taking you away from the things that you're supposed to use to heal yourself and listen to your body. So meditation, how many people actually take the time to meditate? That should be a daily thing that you meditate, you scan your body and listen when you ask it questions. I am not shaming you, but
I know better, and
everybody is a victim to the phone.
I know better, and I would rather play hearts or something than do the work. I distract myself from
Right.
doing the work, and I
So-
know better.
Meditation, breath work, movement, healthy eating, like taking your water and not saying a prayer over it unless that's your thing, but you know, like doing some magic so that you are drinking really pure water to do the healing work that it's supposed to do. Like these are intentional healing things that if you incorporated every day, you'd probably be able to very easily regulate your blood pressure.
There must be a science to blessing or praying over your water and your food.
100%.
And I would say that 10, 15 years ago, you and I would probably say that was hoo-ha.
Probably.
And now what we're learning about the world and how very much it's a spiritual realm, not just a physical realm. It's very interesting the things that we do and say, and whether we know it or not. There's subliminal things that we do too, but all these things play a part in what's going on here in our reality.
Oh, for sure. I think that it would be a good idea to do an episode on the vagina chakra because there's such crazy portal energy there, and it would be a very different conversation from the Wiener chakra.
Nobody knows anything about vaginas.
Well, let's enlighten them.
I'm not going to be the one that teaches it.
Obviously.
Oh man, I barely know anything about the wiener.
I
All
would
I
say
know
that's
is
not
it
true.
knows what it wants.
Because it has a mind of its own.
Yes. He wants beautiful, beautiful women with blonde, curly hair. That's been nicely done.
Boy.
You're funny.
Is there anything else you want to talk about related to this? Is there anything that we've missed about the Wiener chakra?
Yeah, that's the hard part about not having notes is we watch our episodes back and then we're like, oh, should have said that or missed that. And on the fly, it's difficult to think about these things. I think that we did a good job. We can always do a part two if it strikes your fancy.
I feel like we missed talking about the conflict that arises between partners when the Wiener chakra gets imbalanced, because that's a serious thing. I think that some of our most intense fights have been because of that.
I think the biggest takeaway for me in my 40s is that I really genuinely appreciate when we both want each other at the same time. And there's that like real connection. It's not just coming together for the sake of satisfaction. It's the coming together to actually be together and share something that is actually pretty amazing.
I think that
It's
we
kind of the
both,
best part about being alive and a human.
oh, for sure, for sure. And I think that we both come to the table knowing that it's creative energy, that there's this moment of magic that happens. Time actually stands still. You know, and when time stands still, you're meant to notice that there's something really spiritual happening,
You're welcome.
you know, and that you're both in the flow and in this really powerful position of being able to create something. And then
Yes.
when that's thrown off, how devastating it is. I see the dog. He's here because it's time for his food.
He's crazy. He's just
He's
looking.
so cute. It's stupid. I have to move the camera.
He's looking at me. Hello. Boop.
He's so sweet. It's ridiculous.
When are you gonna feed me?
He's like, what is this nonsense you're talking about? Oh, I've really buggered up the camera. Oops. Hold on.
Oh my God. You are. Oh wow. Good job.
So good.
Terrible.
Oh, okay. Well,
Good enough. Oh man, he's just like.
you know what I did want to say before we got very distracted by the dog
What's that?
is that we have learned to handle this situation very differently. Especially this past year, where I don't play the victim and say, "What's wrong with me? Why don't you want me? Why is it not working?" Like, I've realized that that's wasted energy. It doesn't even matter to say it because it won't change anything. It's not going to make you magically ready to go.
It's funny because, well, it's not funny, but in our 30s, when the kids are little and you've gone through the ringer, it's like the opposite. It's like, what? Why aren't you like ready to rock and roll, woman? And you're like, oh, I'm changing diapers and cleaning the house, and it's the last thing I want to think of. It's life is weird.
Yes.
The youth is wasted, my
It's
dear.
a cruel joke unless we learn how to somehow balance our chakra so that we can work with it instead of becoming victims of the imbalance.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find the right guest to come and enlighten us and the audience, because I think we've taken this as far as we can.
Hey, but it's fair to talk about it because I don't think it's talked about enough that, you know, the chaos that it can wreak in your life, and
Sure.
I don't know.
Not as
I
much
think-
as a hungry dog, that's for
I
sure.
think it's worth talking about. And fine, we can wrap it up because the dog is going bananas.
He is going crazy, but yeah, thanks for another good episode. I thought you did a great job. Oh my goodness.
This was one of my favorite episodes, even though it's one of the hardest things to talk about, but needs to be done. And I have to say, I got a text from Alora just now saying you guys are disgusting. So the kids are not enjoying it, but I know that people out there our age, and maybe not even, who are experiencing any kind of intimacy problems will find this at least a little bit helpful.
Yeah, it's great to.
I hope that your wiener chakra is healthy and balanced.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go, Bear. It's time to eat. Peace.